You've seen them preaching on the pulpit. Now get to know them better. Get to know your local pastor on Glorious Morning. AWR Media. From broadcast to baptism.
Pastor, good morning.
Good morning, dear. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Pastor?
We are fine. Good to see you enjoying the music.
It's so good to see you too. Pastor, can I please confess? I don't know, maybe I'm just too emotional or hormonal, but there's something about seeing you at 7:30 in the morning, dressed so immaculately, that got me emotional. I'm just like, this is a man of God. I don't know, something about it just really, really made me happy. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
I'm so humbled and grateful and nice to see you. Though the name is not yet there in my mind, I used to see Derek. I
I
don't know if this is okay.
know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm actually trying to get both our names onto the screen, and I don't know why I'm failing, but I'll definitely get our names back up. I am Boomy, Pastor.
Oh, yeah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And thank you so much for joining us again. Like I said, I know we were supposed to have started a couple of minutes ago, but you're here. And what you're here to talk to us about is rest. Rest that is both spiritual and physical. And you know what? I think for the longest time, whenever we think about rest, we think about it as a physical thing and not so much a spiritual thing. And as somebody who lacks rest right now, Pastor, I feel like this is reading my diary, reading my journal, and you're going to be speaking to me directly. But rest is really time that is spent pausing, meditating, and worshiping God that allows our spirits and our hearts to be refreshed. And today I want us to explore how rest can lead to breakthroughs in faith and clarity in decision making. So tell me, Pastor, how does spiritual rest differ from physical rest? Because I think I need both.
Thank you so much. It's really something very interesting where we want to understand more about the Sabbath and go deeper to get the spiritual meaning and the benefit
Mm,
out of the Sabbath,
mm,
which is both physical and spiritual.
mm.
Now you can appreciate what Jesus meant in Mark chapter
Yeah.
2, verse 7, where he says the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. That
Mm,
means the Sabbath for the benefit. And there are spiritual benefit and the physical benefit and the mental benefit and the social benefit. The
mm.
Sabbath is just loaded.
Yeah,
The Sabbath is just loaded with blessings and benefits.
yeah.
Now,
I'm
we
listening,
have to
Pastor.
understand, yes, please, we have to understand the originality of the Sabbath.
Mm,
God has picked the group of the Israelites from the land of bondage, where they were slaves in Egypt, and there
mm,
was labor there, There was physical laboring and mental laboring and even spiritual laboring because there were so many idols around. And so this is a group that is overladen and burdened. Okay?
mm,
Emotionally, they are heavy burdens they are carrying, and physically, and spiritually, and emotionally, and all the aspect of human development is laden and heavy laden with this load of bondage and
mm,
slavery. And so when God is leading them out of the bondage, he must provide rest. Okay, he must provide rest. He initiates the Sabbath as a source of rest so that they rest from their mental labor, they rest from their physical labor, they rest from their spiritual labor because they were laden with the sin and the transgression and worshiping of idols. And so that was just tiresome for their souls. And so the Sabbath comes in, introduced on Mount Sinai, where Moses, who is the type of Christ, has to go up and receive the commandment. And in this commandment, at the heart of the commandment, there is the Sabbath itself. So that must provide the spiritual rest, the physical rest, the emotional rest, the social rest, yeah, and everything loaded in the Sabbath. And so Moses, as the type of Christ, has to give the rest to the children of Israel.
Mm.
Yes.
That's so
And now,
interesting. Mm.
yeah. Mhm.
That's so interesting, Pastor. I recently actually, I'm pretty sure you heard of the American activist who got assassinated last week, right? And there's a
Yes,
lot of
yes, yes.
talk about him. There's a lot of talk about him and the things he said and the things he hasn't said and the things he's done and the things he hasn't done. But interestingly, I
Yes.
saw a video where he was advocating for the Sabbath, right? That him and his family take a Sabbath. And he said something there that I actually want to try out. And what he said was that on Sabbath, they unplug. They don't have access to internet, to the phone, to any device. They literally rest. And can I say, as somebody whose mind is always running, who's always working, that for me said, maybe you
Mhm.
need to apply something physically
Yeah.
that will allow you to rest spiritually because it's really difficult for people to generally rest when there's so much going on. So perhaps you can tell us what are the ways to incorporate God centered rest into a busy schedule?
Yeah, it's very important. If everyone kept the Sabbath, that is according to myself and my
Mm,
analysis of what we are
mm,
discussing now. If everyone was going to keep the Sabbath, I think we will have less of the mental illnesses and the problems. We will have less of the social ills that we have because people do spend time together and spend time with God. And so the social aspect and the health aspect of social life it was going to be enhanced if everyone kept the Sabbath. There was going to have less cases of suicide because people have the mental growth and the health mind because of keeping the Sabbath. So if the Sabbath really is well kept, as you have said, we will have less of the social problems that we are having now. Even the divorce, my sister, even divorce was going to reduce because we have more time to spend with the family, not on the phone, internet. So if we to keep the Sabbath, because the Sabbath says the entire family need to come together. Your child should not go to work, your husband, your whatever. So it's because it is time for family, and the time would be well spent as a family. And so the issue of divorce, these issues that are killing us today in our society, they were going to be reduced. Now, just as we have said, to say, how do we keep the Sabbath so that you properly connect? One thing that you should do, we should tell ourselves that you need to concentrate.
mm,
So for you to enjoy the benefit of the Sabbath, there is a need of concentration because if your mind is running here and there, you are on Facebook, you are on WhatsApp, you are all over, then you are not being focused, you are not
mm,
concentrating. You have to make a decision. There are people who say, me, I can't concentrate. But you have to tell yourself and practice how to concentrate. Can you imagine some they may be in church and they are on Facebook, they are on WhatsApp. How do you concentrate so that you benefit? Yes, sister. So otherwise, I think what we learned from our brother who was assassinated is that it's a decision that you make so
mm,
that you reap the benefits out of rest. Because
mm,
I tell you, there are people who go to sleep very late because they're on gadgets. So the Sabbath, actually, we really need to be decisive and
mm.
make a decision say, I am going to put away this, put away this. No wonder even the Sabbath is, we are told, do not do this, do not do this, so that God wants us to concentrate in His presence so that we don't miss and lose out the blessings that are on the Sabbath.
Yeah, Pastor, the last time I was standing in for Derek, I spoke to a Dr. Karen. And she was saying similar things to what you're saying about physical rest, though, that the best thing that helps is white noise. And because I struggled to sleep and I had to wake up early for the show today, last night I had white noise playing in the background. Pastor, I was concentrating on the noise and not falling asleep. I wasn't falling asleep. I was concentrating, all right? But it was on the noise. And I'm trying to establish perhaps if you've got some practices that will help people to get the physical rest that they need. And not so much the rest that comes weekly via the Sabbath, but every day. What are some things we can actually do to get rest enough for the day?
Yes, I think of course, we are talking about both the physical and the spiritual. You know, prayer is what relaxes you, that makes your mind,
Mm,
connect with God. So, of course, it's the same thing. The application is the same. What you are supposed not to do to acquire the physical rest, and what you need to do to acquire the spiritual rest. Resting is something that you need to do, and what you are not supposed to do.
mm,
If you are going to enjoy the rest, stop work and
mm,
rest. Yeah, concentrate and relax. And that means what you are not what you are stopping to do is working, and what you are doing is relaxing. So that is
mm,
how you get the rest. Now, in the spiritual realm, it means you need also to concentrate. You stop fidgeting around, you stop moving around. That means you pause yourself and reflect. That's what you're supposed to do to benefit the spiritual benefits. So pause, reflect, and pray. Spend time to read the word of God and connect to the divine. So that is now you are going to, sometimes people think resting is idleness. No, where you do nothing. Okay, there is something
mm.
that you should do to get the rest. There is something you need to do on the Sabbath to enjoy
Yeah.
the rest, and something you should not do on the Sabbath to enjoy the rest. So you are not being passive, but you disengage from certain things that can disorient you or disconnect
Yeah.
you for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, but before you close me out, I wanted to say something for the spiritual aspect of the Sabbath.
Please do.
Yeah, in the preamble, I talked about Moses being the type of Christ. And when Christ
Mm,
comes,
mm.
he also comes to give the Sabbath. He also comes to give the rest. When you look
Oh,
from,
glory.
yeah, from Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 to 29, he says, "Come unto me,
Ah.
all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I
Mm,
will give you rest."
mm,
This is sabbatical rest. He says that we find the sabbatical rest in Jesus Christ. He says, "Come, all
yeah.
of you that labor mentally, physically, emotionally, socially, and I will give you what? I will give you
I will give
rest."
you
And
rest.
he says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am
Mm,
meek and lowly in heart, and and you shall find rest unto your souls." This is
mm.
the healing and the restoration of our souls.
Mm. And I think how we know that we are truly resting is because the rest of that verse says, "For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And I think for as long as your burden is still very heavy on you and you're still carrying the yoke on your own and it feels like you're the only one in the pair that is carrying it, then you know you're not resting fully in God. Thank you so much for that, Pastor.
Yes, because why I brought this text.
Mm,
I first gave the example of the children of Israel who were
mm,
laboring in slavery. Okay,
mm,
they
mm,
were under bondage, so they were heavy laden with work, emotionally drained, and socially. You remember they were killing of children there because the Egyptians thought one day these people would overrule them, and so there was the emotional baggage there of losing children, who and given much to work, no time for family,
mm, mm,
and
mm.
so forth. So they are heavy laden. And so
Mm,
when God comes at Mount Sinai, he wants to give them rest.
mm,
And now that rest is fulfilled in Christ, who gives now the optimum rest, the maximum rest, of which maybe Moses could not give.
yeah.
Maybe he would give them physical rest, but Jesus says, hey, you will find rest in me. Ultimately, that's why the law leads to Christ. It points to Christ because Christ is the one who gives the optimum rest. We find our
Mm,
rest in him. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Pastor. That was so refreshing. Have a lovely day and be blessed.
God bless you and have a good time.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Do you think the world is getting better or worse? Unsurprisingly, a huge majority of people today believe the world is getting worse. Maybe this global pessimism is the result of a culture bathed in bad news, or maybe we inherently know the earth shaking truth presented at the heart of this book. Something is deeply wrong with our planet, and we are powerless to fix it. The great controversy not only unveils the origin of human degradation, but also discloses the titanic struggle raging below the din of pandemics and peril, corruption and carnage, murder and mayhem. In this astonishing work, you will discover that evil has a face, good has a champion, and sin has an end. If you want to prepare for the end of this world and the glorious world to come, you must read this book. Join the campaign to distribute millions of copies of The Great Controversy by Ellen G. White to people in and around your communities. Contact your local church for more information or text us at +27 73 470 3520. Adventist World Radio SID Media, from broadcast to baptism.
Welcome back to Glorious Morning. We are joined now by Elder Anil Mwemba, and he will be talking to us about the account of creation. In all honesty, this account of God creating earth is more than just a documentation of the earth's divine beginnings. I mean, if you just read in the beginning, Genesis 1, verse 1, and all of those, you might just think it's telling us what has happened. It tells us who we are instead, it tells us where we come from and what amazing things God has planned for humanity. So, when all is said and done, what does it mean for you and what will be your response? Alda, welcome to the show.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. And good morning, listeners.
How do you do?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I know you were expecting a certain gent. I'm sorry, it's me. It's me. And I also know that you have a hard stop at 5 to 8. So I will make sure that we get through this as quickly as we can. What does the
Sure.
creation story mean for us today? I know there's a lot of debates. Was it really 6 days? If there are other worlds, when were those created? There's so much debate around the creation story. So what does the story mean for us today, especially in light of these popular science claims?
The story of creation is a very important event in our lives today. It's one of the historical, if not the first historical event that we should never forget, because everything came into being
Mm.
in 1 week, in one literal week, not prophetic.
Mm.
One literal week.
Yeah.
Yes, everything came into being from the first day to the sixth day
Mm.
and until God rested on the seventh day.
Mm.
And,
Mm.
and, and so, like we have discussed in the past 2 days, is that there's always this science narrative about the Big Bang, about how people evolved. But we need to get the message out there as Christians. We need to there is still a section of people that still believe in science, still believe that the world just evolved. But the story of creation is real, it's authentic, and dates back to everything as it was created.
And for somebody who is struggling with that, right? Who is hearing all the philosophy work, who's hearing all the science, the astrology, and all of those, how can we let them know for sure? What is it that we can anecdotally and maybe even experimentally prove to them that creation is not just a tale or a fairy tale at that, but it's a real thing and God created the earth?
Good example, and good question. Look, if science says we evolved, did the sun evolve as well? Did the stars evolve? Did the moon evolve? You understand what I'm trying to say? In the beginning, God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh day. I mean, on day one, He created the light and separated it from darkness and called the light day and called the darkness night. You know, it moved on the second day when He created the sky, separating them from the waters above and the waters below. Moved on to the third day, we gathered the waters under the sky, creating land and seas, and brought vegetation, plants, and the flora and fauna. When we move on to day 4, He created the sun. Now, look at this. When He created the light and separated it from the darkness, there was no sun involved. There was no moon involved. There was no star. These only came on the 4th day, to give the light eighth and separate day from night and the beautiful stars and everything that is in it. Okay. He moved on and created the creatures and birds of the air and everything that creeps and flies on the earth. And then He went on to create land animals. Then He created man. Now, look at this. When He created a human being out of His own kind, He said, let us make man out of our own kind. And then after man was created, gave him dominion over everything. Okay, to say you will be in charge, you will take care, you will be a steward of these things. I mean, just how everything functions. I like to say this to my friends out there that don't believe in God, that don't believe in the story of creation. And I said, you know what? If you think your alarm woke you up this morning, get the same alarm and put it next to a dead body. Let's see what happens. So you realize the power of God. Even if you have the alarm that wakes you up, it is the power of God, because you still have life in you that makes you work hard, makes you are able to hear the alarm, you are able to wake up, you are able to function, the body functions. What science does, it gives you the results of what is there. It has limitations on the origin. And so, my friends out there, dear listeners out there, the story of creation is what we must believe. And every week when the Sabbath comes, because when God rested on the Sabbath, when He has done everything, He hallowed it and blessed it. So it stands as a constant reminder of the story of creation. The Sabbath, every time the Sabbath comes and rest, is a constant reminder of the story of creation. Why are you resting? Even as you rest on that Sabbath, you must remember why you are resting. Because God rested. Rested from what? From creation. So this is the story of creation is a weekly reminder to us to appreciate what God did in these 6 literal days.
That's so good. And I just have 30 seconds, if not 20 seconds remaining with you. What are your parting shots with regards to this conversation?
My conclusion remarks is that, dear beloved, as Adventists, we believe in creation, and we want you out there to join us in our belief. This is one of our 28 fundamental beliefs. We believe in the story of creation. We believe that God created the world. We believe that He created the world in the literal way. And so He rested on the Sabbath, and the Sabbath is a constant reminder of the story of creation. So join us in understanding how the word came to be and the power of God. Scripture tells us everything. He spoke everything into being, and so that is very important. Let there be. That's if that can be power. I don't know what you believe in, because let there be, and there was. Let there be, and there was. And He saw everything and was happy. And said, that is the power of God. Remember, He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So we need to believe in the story of creation and believe God.
That is so good. Thank you so much, Aldo Member. Have a lovely day and all the best with your meeting.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Thank you for having me. Have a good day, listeners.
Cheers.
It's time for your morning worship on Glorious Morning on AWR SID Media. From broadcast to baptism.